This summer is going to be very interesting in terms of unrestricted free agents. We have a lot of big name players that are going to be looking for a new contract come July 1st. And in today's video, I want to take a look at who, in my opinion, are the top 6. You can see them on the screen right now and give you guys my thoughts on where I think they will sign and kind of what the term and money could look like. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. Starting the video off with probably the biggest name, and that is Carlson of the San Jose Sharks. The 28-year-old defenseman has played in 680 games in his career to this point in time, 129 goals, 434 assists for 563 points. Obviously, for a defenseman, those are some very impressive numbers. And this past regular season, in 53 games with the San Jose Sharks, 3 goals and 42 assists for 45 points. And Carlson didn't really have a good year, in Carlson's standards. Obviously, we know what he's capable of in terms of being a two-way defenseman, but with the San Jose team, he hasn't really imposed his will on the defensive side of the game just yet. He's been putting up some decent numbers. He hasn't really been Ottawa Senators Carlson for the San Jose team just yet. He has been pretty good though in the playoffs, and I definitely think San Jose is going to do everything in their power to bring him back. And obviously, after this big playoff run and him putting up decent numbers in the regular season with them, I honestly think, especially after going through the situation he went through in Ottawa, he's going to want to stay with the San Jose Sharks organization, where he does have a chance to contend probably for the next couple of seasons. His cap hit till this point in time was $6.5 million. Obviously, I think he's in for a pretty significant raise, and it is going to be tough for the San Jose Sharks team because they have another pretty big name unrestricted free agent, as I will touch on later in this video, and they have Gustav Nyquist, who I didn't even put in this video, but I think you can kiss him goodbye because you're not going to be able to really give him much money if you want to re-sign guys like an Carlson and obviously like Joe Pavelski, who I'm going to touch on later in the video. But my prediction for Carlson, I think he's going to re-sign with the San Jose Sharks, and I'm going to say it'll probably be a contract around 6 years, maybe $8.59 million, just ballparking, but it is going to be tough for them to keep all these faces around. For the San Jose Sharks fans and for their organization, I honestly hope he stays with the Sharks. I think it's a pretty good situation for him, and in the end, that is my prediction. I think we will see Carlson re-sign and get a pretty big contract with the San Jose Sharks this summer. Next up, I'm going to touch on one of Columbus's 3 big unrestricted free agents, and that is Artemi Panarin, a 27-year-old winger who has played in 322 NHL games, 116 goals, and 204 assists for 320 points. Obviously, almost a point per game for his career. We know what he's capable of. I think he is a superstar player in the NHL, and this past season he had a phenomenal year. 79 games played, 28 goals, and 59 assists for 87 points, and to this point in time had a cap hit of $6 million. Another guy who I think is in for a pretty significant raise, and there's been a lot of rumors with Panarin and Bobrovsky and pretty much all the free agents of this Columbus team and speculation on where they're going to end up. And I honestly think Artemi Panarin's time in Columbus has came to an end, and I think him and most likely Bobrovsky kind of had that made up, before the season even started. So it definitely is going to be interesting. I honestly hope for this Columbus Blue Jackets fan base because they just got to witness such a special run in the postseason. I hope they can bring most of the core guys back and try to run it back and do it again next year. But if I had to make a prediction, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Artemi Panarin signs with the New York Rangers. Yes, I said it. I think he's going to go to the Rangers, and I think it would be a pretty exceptional fit for him as well. A lot of great young pieces there, and he could really lead that rebuild along with a guy like Mika Zibanejad. And in terms of money, I think he's worth around $9 to $8.5 million, kind of like in Carlson, and I definitely think the term on that should be pretty extensive for the New York Rangers. So that is going to be my guess. I think Artemi Panarin is going to be a New York Ranger come opening night next season. Next up is another one of Columbus's huge free agents, and that is Matt Duchene, who had a career season this year. Obviously was pretty remarkable in their postseason run as well. He's a 28-year-old centerman, 727 NHL games, 232 goals, and 315 assists for 547 points. As a 28-year-old, almost playing 750 games, that is a lot of experience for a guy who is still very much so in his prime, and I'm going to guess he is going to re-sign with the Columbus Blue Jackets. I don't think this Blue Jackets team is going to lose all of their big name free agents. I definitely think they could lose a couple, but if I had to put money on who I think is going to stay, I think it would be Matt Duchene. I think he thrived in that situation. I think this past season he really showed that he can be a number 1 center and a good one at that. Obviously with 73 games played last year, split between the Senators and the Blue Jackets, 31 goals and 39 assists for 70 points. I know that says 39 points. I don't know why I meant to put an A there, but nonetheless, still an amazing season. Obviously, most most of his amazing season came with Ottawa in terms of his point production. Kind of cooled off when he went to Columbus, but sometimes you don't just adjust right away. But in the playoffs, he really showed what he can do with this organization. So my guess, I think Matt Duchene is going to re-sign with the Columbus Blue Jackets, and I'm going to say he's going to get around $7.5 million and probably like a 5 to 6 year deal. Obviously, this is just pure speculation. I'm no analyst. I'm not even very good with talking about contracts, but if I had to put a guess, that is what it's going to be. I think Matt Duchene will still be a member of the Blue Jackets next year. Next player I'm going to talk about is the other big name free agent from the San Jose Sharks, and that is Joe Pavelski. He's a 34-year-old centerman, 963 NHL games, 355 goals, and 406 assists for 761 points. He's been amazing over the course of his career, and he had another very, very solid year. 75 games played, 38 goals, and 26 assists for 64 points. A very quiet 38 goals at that, showing that he still is capable of, being a guy who could potentially score 40 goals in the NHL. He, like a lot of others in this video, had a cap hit of $6 million up until this point in time, and honestly, I don't see a situation where he goes anywhere else. I think he's going to retire as a member of the San Jose Sharks. He's the captain of this team. He really is the heart and soul, as he's been showing throughout this postseason so far, and I don't really think a lot of people talk about his upcoming free agency, because I think a lot of people know he's most likely going to stay with this organization, and I think that is the best fit. I honestly think he'll probably still make around $5 to $6 million. I can't really see him getting a raise, especially as a 34-year-old, so it's going to be interesting to see really how this contract works out. I could see it maybe being 3 to 4 years, but then again, you don't want to be paying him too much money till he's 38 years old and obviously has the potential to drop off. But till this point in time, he really hasn't shown any signs of dropping off. So for Joe Pavelski, I think this is a pretty tough contract to predict, but I'm going to say around 4 years, $6.5 million for Pavelski, and I think ultimately he will stay with the Sharks organization. Next up, we have Jeff Skinner of the Buffalo Sabres. Obviously, Buffalo went out, acquired Jeff Skinner in a robbery of a trade this past offseason, and it was a very, very good move because Jeff Skinner had an amazing season with this Buffalo team, and I would like to see him re-sign because I think he really could be a big part of their team moving forward. He's only 26 years old. He's a winger who has played in 661 NHL games, 244 goals, 198 assists for 442 points, and like I said, an amazing season this past year, 82 games played, showing that he can stay healthy for a full season, 40 goals and 23 assists for 63 points. Obviously, he kind of tailed off towards the middle half and the end of the year, but at the beginning of the year, he was literally ripping up the NHL in terms of goal scoring, and finishing with 40 goals, he most likely is in for a pretty significant raise over his former $5.725 million cap hit, and I'm going to predict that he is going to stay with this Buffalo team. I mean, why would he leave after he played a fantastic season, got to play with some pretty talented guys like Jack Eichel and Sam Reinhart? I think this Buffalo team is capable of being a playoff team. They showed that they were at the beginning of the year, but obviously just had an atrocious second half and really fell out of the race entirely. But another pretty decent draft pick, and hopefully these guys getting 1 year older and just one more year playing together, this team can put it all together and really make a forceful push into the postseason next year, hopefully, because this Buffalo team has been bad for a while. But if I had to make a prediction on the contract, I think it could be around 7 to 8 years, because he is only 26 years old, and I honestly could see him making around $7 million. I mean, 40 goal scorers are pretty hard to come by in the NHL, so Jeff Skinner definitely did pick a fantastic season to have a 40 goal year with being his contract season. So I think he's in for a pretty significant raise, and hopefully it is with the Buffalo Sabres. And now the last player we're going to talk about in today's video, Sergei Bobrovsky of the Columbus Blue Jackets. Obviously, he had a pretty good year and an amazing postseason with this Columbus team, but I think it is written on the wall that he will most likely be with a new team come opening night next season. He's a 30-year-old goaltender, 467 games played, 261 wins, 156 losses, 38 overtime losses, a 2.46 career goals against, and a .919 save percentage for his career. This past season, 62 games played, 37-24-1, a 2.58 goals against average, and a .913 save percentage, and his cap hit to this point in time was $7.425 million. And I think that is probably what we're going to see his new contract be around. I don't really think he's going to get too much of a raise, but with the cap hit going up, I think he is a guy who could ask for probably around $8 to $9 million. And if I had to put it a guess, I'm going to say he's going to sign with the Florida Panthers. Obviously, there's been a lot of rumors tying the two together, and I think Florida is probably going to let a guy like Mike Hoffman walk, get some money off their books. He's a guy I thought about putting in this video, but I think some of these guys are just more established players than Hoffman to this point in time. But let me know if you guys want to see a video video on, you know, pretty much all of the decent free agents and what I think is going to end up happening with them. But yeah, like I said, I think Bobrovsky is going to be a member of the Florida Panthers. I think a really good goaltender is the missing piece to that equation over there to really finally make them a playoff team and get them over the hump. And in terms of a contract, I could see it being around 5 years, $8.5 to $9 million. If I had to guess, obviously I'm probably not going to be even right on any of these contract estimations, but I'm kind of just more or less giving you guys my prediction on what I think these players will do. And I think Sergei Bobrovsky is going to be a member of the Florida Panthers next season. So that is going to wrap up this video. I really hope you guys did enjoy, and like I said, I'm no expert. I probably won't be right on many of these guesses, but I thought you guys would probably want to hear my opinion on what I think is going to happen with some of these up and coming free agents, and I'm very curious to hear your guys' thoughts. Make sure to let me know down in the comment section where you think these guys will go and what their potential contracts could look like. So with that being said, I hope you guys all enjoyed the video. If you did, please make sure to drop a like on it and subscribe to the channel for daily NHL content, and I will see you guys all in the next video.